Good evening. You are tuned in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. Americans have started heading to the polls to vote for their next president. Polling has started for more than 30 states. Candidates Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are in a tight race in what could be one of the closest presidential elections in U.S. history. Joining us, Faye Kwan has the latest from Michigan.
Good morning from Kalamazoo, Michigan, where polls here opened at 7 a.m. and we're already seeing a steady stream of voters heading to the ballot box, eager to make their voices heard. Now, across the state, polls will remain open until 8 p.m. tonight, and more than 78 million voters nationwide have already cast their votes in the early voting period. Tens of millions more are expected to turn up in person today. Stay tuned for more coverage on the U.S. elections as it unfolds. After all, every vote could make a difference.
Just 80 kilometers from Kalamazoo, Trump ushered in Election Day with a late-night rally in the once Republican stronghold of Grand Rapids, Michigan's second-largest city. His final campaign rallies in 2016 when he won the state, and 2020 when he lost it to Democrat Joe Biden. Both took place in Grand Rapids. He took familiar hits against his political enemies while pledging to boost the economy through tariffs on foreign automotive parts and drilling for more American oil and gas.
Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, situated in another key battleground state of Pennsylvania, Kamala Harris delivered her final remarks with a message of unifying the nation. Pennsylvania, with 19 electoral votes, more than any other battleground, is considered the likely tipping point that could determine a victory for either Harris or Trump. To win the presidency, a candidate needs at least 270 electoral votes. Polls indicate a tight race, particularly in 7 key battleground states. Now, in the 2022 elections, it took 4 days to announce the winner. Hafiz Marzuki joins us now at the touchscreen, and we know that with polls open for just a few hours, anticipation is building around the trajectories of both candidates vying for the White House. So, Hafiz, what key factors do you think will determine the outcome of this election?
Yes, one of it, Cynthia, is definitely voter turnout. Because if you were to look at both these candidates, Kamala Harris as well as Donald Trump, they seem to have structured their campaign into asking or encouraging their voters to come out and vote. And that's the key message or the central message that they have communicated in their campaign. Other than the voter turnout, is of course, because you mentioned earlier that this is expected to be a tight race. So it is important that every vote matters. And there's a large section of undecided voters that have not shown leanings, whether either to Democrat or Republican. And it seems that this are the important factors that would determine the race. And of course, tonight we're going to take a look at the pathways to the White House, the pathway to 270. And we'll start with the red corner, the Republican candidate, Donald Trump, former president. And let's take a look at what he needs to do in order to win entry into the White House. Of course, the key number, the magic number, is 270 Electoral College votes. And if you were to look here, the 25 states that we have listed down here are what we call typically or historically red states, or states that usually tend to lean to the Republican candidate. And if we were to total all the Electoral College votes over here, we'll get about 190 electoral votes. Not enough to make it to the White House. Let's take a look. And this is where the battle can be won or lost for Trump. And when the 4 states that we have listed down here, of course, tend to lean to Republican as of this current moment. It's not really a prediction, but this is what most likely to happen if Trump were to take White House. Of course, we have Arizona, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Iowa. And if you were to remember, in 2016, Trump won Arizona and Wisconsin. However, in 2020, Biden flipped it over to the blue side. So it is critical in order for Trump to win the White House. And of course, over here is where, Cynthia, you've mentioned it just now, Pennsylvania is one of the key battleground states that Trump has to win if he wants any chance of getting into the White House. And of course, Michigan, where our colleague Faye Kwan is currently at. And if you were to total all this, does it mean that he makes it to 270? Not really. he only make it only to 257. So he still needs to flip some other blue states here, either Virginia or probably a combination of Minnesota and New Hampshire to make it all the way to 270. So it's quite a complicated route for Donald Trump to the White House.
All right, so that's Trump. Let's take a look at Kamala Harris, right? Does it seem that she may have a more straightforward path to the White House, or is it more complicated than that?
Well, it's always more complicated than that, Cynthia. Let's take a look at Kamala Harris's path to the White House. Again, similar concept if we were to look at states that typically lean blue. Of course, there's only 17 that we've listed here, but it returned a higher electoral college votes, which means that it is not necessarily important to the number of states that one candidate win. What is important is the total electoral votes. And if we were to look further into the must-win swing states, if you look over here, this state tend to lean to Democrat, another 24 electoral votes, Minnesota, Virginia, and Maine's 2nd congressional district. And this, again, the crucial toss-up states that Kamala Harris needs to win in order to be in the White House. Of course, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, New Hampshire, and Arizona. And if we were to remember, if we were to look back in 2016, when Trump first got into the White House, he won Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona, and Biden flipped it in 2020, when both Kamala Harris actually is on the ticket. Also in 2020, they flipped Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona. Important states for Kamala Harris to win in order to gain entry into the White House. Does it mean with 46 and 24, is it, game over for Trump? Not really, because it is only 268 votes. Still 2 votes short from 270. So she still has to win again, Pennsylvania, 19 electoral college votes, or Georgia in order to be the tipping point to get her into the White House. So that's pretty much the pathways. It's not really a prediction. You can see these are all the scenarios that could happen later today.
Well, while it's not prediction, as all pollsters have mentioned, it could be the tightest race ever in the U.S. presidential elections. Thank you so much, Hafiz, for an overview of the key battleground states as well as swing states, very, very important states in the U.S. elections. We'll go for a quick break, but before you go, if you want to check out any latest news on U.S. elections, head over to international.astroawani.com. We'll be back right after this.
Rambut gugur lagi? Macam mana Gunakan Pantene Baharu dengan provitamin mikro yang meresap dan menguatkan rambut dari dalam. Rambut 10 kali lebih kuat terhadap rambut gugur. Pantene Baharu.
Pilihan Raya Presiden Amerika Syarikat 2024. Dapatkan liputan paling komprehensif secara langsung di Astro dan Astro Go.
Kerajaan akan terus mempertahankan setiap inci kedaulatan negara dan tidak sesekali akan bertolak ansur terhadap sebarang tuntutan daripada pihak-pihak tertentu.
Negara perlu mengurangkan kebergantungan kepada pekerja asing berkemahiran rendah. Pertubuhan Kemanusiaan Antarabangsa Malaysia MHO menggesa Kementerian Kesihatan menjalankan siasatan berhubung dakwaan kewujudan sebuah klinik kosmetik yang dikendalikan doktor palsu di Monkiara.
Selamat datang Don Arif dan Jafar. Kalian akan bertemu dengan anak tiri saya, Laila.
Don Arif, Jafar! Nak pergi mana tu? Laila macam mana?
Laila dah nak okey dah, Datin. Alhamdulillah, kan? Dah nak okey dah. Dah banyak perubahan dah. Betul, kita ingat lama punya start je benda ni pun. Makruk pun duit, tak nak bagi kita orang makan langsung.
Apa signifikan dengan pengumuman ataupun berita yang keluar dari media China ini berkaitan dengan hasrat Malaysia untuk menyertai gabungan BRICS?
Kita mahu dapat lebih banyak umpamanya pelaburan daripada negara China.
Kalau melihat kepada Akta Kanak-Kanak 2001, adakah kita terlalu lambat untuk melihat proses untuk meminda akta sedia ada?
Kita perlu ada penyelarasan. Kita tak mahu bekerja secara silo.
Welcome back. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, or MACC, has launched an investigation into major investment losses by Khazanah Nasional Berhad and Permodalan Nasional Berhad (PNB) in fashion company Fashion Valet. Founders Datin Vivi Yusof and her husband Datuk Fazaruddin Shah Anwar were summoned today by the MACC to address the 43.9 million ringgit loss.
MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki said that as of Monday, they had already summoned 4 witnesses from PNB, Khazanah and the Finance Ministry. Additionally, the MACC also conducted raids at multiple locations, including Fashion Valet's office, seizing financial documents. This probe is being conducted under Section 18 of the MACC Act, which addresses false claims and fraudulent financial information. Prior to this, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim had directed Khazanah to conduct an internal audit on this matter. In response to the controversy, Vivi and Fazaruddin have apologized and announced their decision to step down from their positions in Fashion Valet.
Malaysia aims to enhance regional cooperation and promote inclusion based on the regional framework as it assumes the ASEAN chairmanship next year. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim says multi-country cooperation should be used as a tool to advance global progress and not a weapon to create conflict.
So multi-country cooperation for free trade and sustainability goals must be used as a tool to advance global progress equitably instead of as a weapon to quell competition, promote unfair advantage or create conflict.
Anwar was speaking at the opening ceremony of the annual China International Import Expo in Shanghai. He also announced that as the 2025 ASEAN chair, Malaysia plans to invite China's President Xi Jinping to attend both the ASEAN Summit and the ASEAN GCC Summit next year.
In other international news, Boeing workers have finally ended a 7-week-long walkout after voting to accept the aviation giant's latest pay offer. Under the new contract, they will get a 38% pay rise over the next 4 years. Now, with the strike resolved, more than 30,000 workers are set to return to work as early as Wednesday.
59% of striking workers voted to approve the new deal, which includes a one-time $12,000 bonus and improvements to retirement plans. The union had originally demanded a 40% pay increase and rejected 2 previous offers from Boeing. The strike, which began on September 13, significantly slowed operations at the plane makers' factories, deepening its financial troubles. Boeing recently reported a $6 billion quarterly loss, announced a nearly $20 billion share sale to improve its credit rating. The company also announced plans to lay off around 17,000 workers.
South Korea has ordered Meta to pay $15.67 million in fines after finding it had collected sensitive user data and given it to advertisers without a legal basis. Now, this penalty marks the latest in a series of fines imposed on Meta by South Korean authorities as they ramp up scrutiny over the company's handling of private information.
Following a 4-year investigation, South Korea's Personal Information Protection Commission concluded that Meta obtained information from about 980,000 South Korean Facebook users, including details about their religion and political views. The commission revealed that Meta subsequently shared this data with around 4,000 advertisers. They noted that Meta analyzed user behavior, such as pages liked and ads clicked on Facebook, to create and manage advertising teams related to this sensitive information. South Korea's privacy law provides strict protection for information related to personal beliefs and political views and bars companies from processing or using such data without consent.
That wraps up this edition of AWANI Tonight. We will be bringing more updates on the U.S. presidential elections. Head over to international.astroawani.com. That's all for now. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching. Good night.